the Gods Knights will be the main villains of Elbaf. While we already have several major players tied to Elbaf, the red-haired pirates and the kid pirates, what Elbaf seemed to be missing was a true, genuine villain group. A set of formidable antagonists worthy of a Yonko-level crew like the Straw Hats. And the answer was staring us in the face all along, the Gods Knights. Now you might be thinking, this seems too random. What would the Gods Knights have to do with Elbaf? Why would they be attempting to go after the Straw Hats there? Weren't they sent after the revolutionaries? And while on the surface it may be hard to see the connection, the truth is that every single sign in the story is currently pointing to Oda having very slyly set up the Gods Knights as the surprise party crashers of Elbaf, to not only make an appearance there, but to play the role of the primary villains of the arc. And Oda did so by cleverly obscuring several characters and their motivations from us, all of which will be unraveled in this video. Today I will be explaining not only why the Gods Knights are set to be the villains of Elbaf, but the truth about the man marked by flames, how this conflict resolves the plot point of the fourth and final missing road Poneglyph, and finally why Oda has been hiding so many mysterious characters from us since Wano. But before we get into it, make sure to subscribe. So to begin with, at the very tip of the iceberg, before even getting to the Gods Knights, we need to establish one simple plot point that is all but guaranteed to take place in this arc. Elbaf needs to involve the Straw Hats collecting the final road Poneglyph. By the end of this storyline, the Straw Hats, and possibly a few other factions, should have their hands on all 4 Poneglyph rubbings, and the race for the One Piece should be on. This is all but guaranteed due to several factors. To begin with, at the simplest level, this is the final saga, and the only foreseeable arcs after Elbaf are Laugh Tale itself, and possibly Morijoa afterwards, meaning that by the end of Elbaf, the Straw Hats should have all the Poneglyphs necessary to begin the final journey to get the One Piece at Laugh Tale. On top of this, Egghead ended by framing this final step of the journey, the race for the One Piece, as being about to begin. And as the missing 4th road Poneglyph is the final roadblock to beginning the race to One Piece, Elbaf should be the arc wherein this final roadblock is removed and said race can begin. On top of that, the Elbaf arc itself has been repeatedly framed as setting up the completion of the Poneglyph collection. Heading into Elbaf, the continually repeated plot point was specifically about the 4th and final Poneglyph. This is what Kid was talking about, this is what the Blackbeard pirates were talking about, this is what the Straw Hats are looking for. This mysterious 4th Poneglyph is what was being hyped up leading up to the Elbaf storyline. Shanks himself just made the move to seize 3 Poneglyph rubbings for himself. So the plot is converging further and further around this final missing Poneglyph being the key that all these characters are looking for. So in short, narratively, as the last island in the story before Laugh Tale itself, Elbaf has to conclude with the final road Poneglyph being acquired so that the story can progress to Laugh Tale. The narrative itself is framing the race to One Piece being the next step, reinforcing that Elbaf needs to be the arc where this final obstacle to beginning the race to One Piece is resolved. And in general, the plot continues to reiterate the building mystery of this 4th elusive Poneglyph that several characters are all now chasing after. As such, Elbaf will be a conflict around completing the set of road Poneglyphs. Now, what we've been told about this final road Poneglyph is that it is held by the man marked by flames. This has been established multiple times. Initially, people theorized that the man marked by flames is Saul, as he would have been burnt after the Ohara incident, and he has knowledge of the Poneglyphs. But we were then told that it's actually a man who rides around in an all-black ship that swallows enemies with a giant vortex. Now, this eliminates Saul, but it opens up the possibilities of it being some sort of famous pirate. Some say Shiki, though that doesn't match his fruit ability. And some even say Dragon, as Dragon potentially has a wind fruit that would allow him to create vortexes as described, his ship is black, and the tattoos on his face could be interpreted to be marked by flames, although based on the actual Japanese translation breakdown, this seems unlikely. However, then we were told something that eliminates all of these options, as it is revealed that this mysterious man marked by flames is in fact set to be a member of the world government. This absolutely changes everything, as this means that the man marked by flames is not any character that we know, but rather it is an unknown character on the world government side who has this final Poneglyph. You could argue that this is just a guess by Shiryu and therefore may be incorrect, and while that's technically true in story, the reality is that out of story, the author is choosing to establish this for the reader for a reason. It's the same way that technically Kid as a character in the story was only guessing that the man marked by flames had the last road Poneglyph, but the point was that Oda as the author was establishing here for the reader that the man marked by flames is who will have the final road Poneglyph. So if Oda is choosing to write in a big glaring sign for the reader that the man marked by flames is going to be a government member, then we should assume that to be the case. So the question is, who? While at the moment we don't know any world government character who might be the man marked by flames, we can quickly narrow down who makes sense, because whoever this character is needs to fit 3 criteria. To begin with, they must be incredibly strong, as the world government trusts them to patrol the New World with the extremely valuable road Poneglyph in his guard, which the most powerful pirates in existence are all trying to claim. Second, this must be a very important figure narratively, as the final road Poneglyph is pretty much the most important plot point that needs to be resolved before the story can move on to its final phase. And finally, this character would need to make sense being in the plot of Elbaf, as Elbaf is likely the arc where the road Poneglyph plotline would resolve. Now, very conveniently, we do happen to have one mysterious, yet-to-be-revealed character who would perfectly match all this criteria. That would be this final, unrevealed major character from the giant spread showcasing all the characters set to play the biggest role in the final war. It's not just that this character seems important and is yet to be revealed, it's also the fact that this silhouette seems to be the same silhouette as the central figure of the Gods Knights shown in our first glimpse of the full group. As you can see, there is one figure among the Gods Knights in the middle, clearly framed as the centerpiece, wielding a distinctive sword. The very same sword that this final major unrevealed player seems to be wielding. It's important to remember that at this point, we know every other significant One Piece character. We know every Yonko, every Gorosei, every Admiral, every Revolutionary. There are simply no major characters left to be revealed in One Piece except for the Gods Knights and the man marked by flames. As such, readers have long believed that this character has to be one of the two, when ironically the simple answer is that this man is both. The man marked by flames is a Gods Knight. This is him. This is the extraordinarily powerful government warrior who protects the final road Poneglyph. He is the final insurmountable obstacle for pirates. And guess what? He is now most likely the new leader of the Gods Knights, the new supreme commander now that Figarland Garling has left their ranks and been promoted to the Gorosei. With that, suddenly everything makes sense. If we rewind, we are first shown the Gods Knights with this mysterious warrior at their center, but as it turns out, this man is not the leader, the aging Figarland Garling is. However, that turns out to only be temporary, as Figarland Garling is supposed to leave the Gods Knights and be promoted to Gorosei, thereby leaving a major vacancy for the position of Supreme Commander of the Gods Knights. That's why this other figure was shown in the center initially, as Oda was pre-framing us for the true leader of the Gods Knights. That connects the dots to the missing piece in this huge spread that showcases every single significant figure in One Piece. We have the Yonko, we have the leader of the Admirals, the leader of the Revolutionaries, the Gorosei, but we also have this one unidentified figure who doesn't seemingly fit into any group. Except now it clicks that this is the man representing the Gods Knights, their new leader, the very same figure that Oda was already putting front and center way back when he first started establishing the group. Now, officially every major group in One Piece is represented in this spread. At the same time, this snaps into place the other big mystery piece as to who could possibly be the powerful government warrior that travels the seas with the final road Poneglyph, a character so strong the world government entrusts them to sail the New World with their prized possession without fear that any pirate can defeat him and take his road Poneglyph. A mysterious world government character that we had yet to see. Well, it can very literally now only be this guy. We know all the other government warriors, so we know it's not them. The only remaining strong world government fighters we have yet to be introduced to are Gods Knights, and Oda also just so happens to be hyping up one last yet to be revealed major figure in this spread, who seems to be the new leader of the Gods Knights. As such, the leader of the Gods Knights is almost guaranteed to be this man marked by flames. Now, you might argue that a member of the Gods Knights wouldn't make sense to be patrolling the seas below, shouldn't they instead be guarding Marijua? However, from what little we know of the Gods Knights, it seems that their job is in fact to carry out the Celestial Dragon's will on the seas below. The Gods Knights are the ones being mobilized and sent out to fight the revolutionaries on the Blue Seas. So it's actually the norm for the Gods Knights to be out and about in this manner. It's also practically a necessity that the Gods Knights regularly have tasks that involve them carrying out missions on the Blue Seas, as that's very literally the only way they can become powerful fighters. You cannot become a top tier just sitting in a bubble on Marijua. That's the reason that all the normal Celestial Dragons are so weak. The Gods Knights are the ones who are below engaging in battles. We can see that every Gorosei was likely a seasoned warrior of the Gods Knights before being made immortal and allowed to rest permanently at Marijua, much like Figarland Garling. If there are battles that the Celestial Dragons personally want won on the Blue Seas, it seems that they send the Gods Knights even over the Marines. So the idea that one of their members, likely their strongest, who has now been promoted to the rank of Supreme Commander of the Gods Knights, was previously assigned the task of traveling the seas, guarding the final road Poneglyph, makes a lot of sense. Now, why the road poneglyph was placed on a ship and carried around the seas rather than being guarded up in Marizhua is yet to be explained. That is likely something Oda will have to explain later, though we do know that sometimes Oda doesn't prioritize logic when writing the story. However, I'm simply establishing the point that if Oda is saying that a certain government warrior is tasked with guarding the road poneglyph while traveling the seas, well, that would fit under the job description of a God's Knight. Now, narratively, the reason that Oda decided to have a God's Knight be the guardian of the final road poneglyph is to set up an extremely exciting conflict in Elbaf, because here is where it gets really interesting. The God's Knights are a group that are set to take the stage in the story extremely soon. Dragon just established that they have just been mobilized and are going to be active on the seas. The man marked by flames, likely the new supreme commander of the God's Knights, was already carrying the final road poneglyph on his ship. No matter what, one way or another, we knew that the Straw Hats are going to have to come into conflict with this man and gain the final road poneglyph in order for them to progress to Laugh-Tale. This conflict is already an absolute inevitability, and it has to happen at Elbaf as this is the final island on the docket for the Straw Hats before Laugh-Tale. There are no other islands set up for them to hit, Lodestar has already been established to be unnecessary. Not to mention, Elbaf currently needs a conflict, it has no villain. While it is likely that a conflict with the Red-Haired Pirates is in store, the Red-Haired Pirates are ultimately not a true enemy group to the Straw Hats. There is just too much love between the Red-Haired Pirates and the Straw Hat Pirates. The entire crew has saved Luffy's life multiple times. They were literally just there celebrating the Straw Hats' victory at Wano. Any conflict between the Straw Hats and the Red-Haired Pirates will be meaningful and challenging, but it won't be truly antagonistic. And so enter the true villains of Elbaf, the God's Knights. Because one important thing was just established at the end of Egghead. Whoever gets the One Piece will control the world. So whereas before the world government had a vested interest in making sure that no pirates got the One Piece, now there is a significant new motivation that has been established for all major factions in the world, including the world government. It's no longer good enough to just sit and hold on to the final road poneglyph. The world government will want to seize the other road poneglyphs for themselves to take the One Piece and end this long-running war forever. So to recap, the entire God's Knights were already mobilized and being sent out to the sea after the Revolutionaries' raid. Their new leader, the man marked by flames, already had the final road poneglyph on his ship. And then a massive PSA was announced by Vegapunk to the entire world that every faction needs to now prioritize making a move on the One Piece. Suddenly, everything clicks together. The world government already had a vested interest in taking out the Straw Hats, especially after the extreme acts of rebellion the Straw Hats pulled off at Egghead. And on top of this, the Straw Hats are in possession of 3 of the road poneglyphs that the world government now realizes it needs. Literally everything lines up for the God's Knights to be diverted over to Elbaf to take down the Straw Hats and seize the road poneglyphs. For them, it's 2 birds with 1 stone. This especially makes sense narratively considering Oda is setting up the Blackbeard Pirates to be about to cause some trouble for the Revolutionaries to keep them occupied for the moment. As such, the God's Knights taking a detour from the Revolutionaries to prioritize punishing the Straw Hats and taking their road poneglyphs would naturally make sense. Remember, no matter what, the Straw Hats have to get the 4th and final road poneglyph, which means their encounter with the man marked by flames was already guaranteed this arc. All Vegapunk's speech did was establish the motivation for the man marked by flames and the God's Knights to proactively bring the fight to the Straw Hats themselves. Even if we want to go a step further and speculate about Shanks' role in Elbaf, well, I've already talked at length about Shanks' potential connection to this mysterious God's Knight figure in this video, and now this theory actually lines up even further. With the highly likely role of the God's Knights in Elbaf in mind, there is in fact now significantly more evidence that this man may not be Shanks, but in fact Shanks' brother, the new leader of the God's Knights. But this point is not essential to the rest of this being true, because regardless of whether or not this man is Shanks' brother, this man is definitely the man marked by flames and the new leader of the God's Knights. You can get my extended thoughts on the new evidence for the Shanks connection on my weekly podcast by supporting me on Patreon, link in the description below. But overall, the Straw Hats have to encounter the man marked by flames to get the final road poneglyph. The man marked by flames is strongly hinted at to be a significant government figure, and therefore an eventual enemy for the Straw Hats. The last mysterious government figure to be revealed is the new leader of the God's Knights, which is very, very likely this individual being teased in the giant spread of all remaining characters. Hence, this man is the man marked by flames, a warrior so strong that he has been tasked with guarding the final road poneglyph from all pirates in the New World. And now, in the wake of Vegapunk's speech and the Straw Hats' actions at Egghead, he will likely be tasked with switching from defense to offense and actually going after the Straw Hats to secure the other 3 road poneglyphs for the world government. as whoever controls the One Piece controls the fate of the world. And now he won't be going alone. He will be bringing the entire marshaled Gods Knights with him, making for the perfect conflict for Elbaf, a worthy challenge for the Straw Hats to earn the final road Poneglyph. So let me know if you think the Gods Knights are the main villains of Elbaf in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video then definitely like and subscribe. And you can get my extended thoughts on how all of this connects back to Shanks and his potential brother in my weekly podcast by supporting me on Patreon, link in the description below.